Welcome everyone to the first week of September's auctions, ending anywhere from the 6th all the way through the 8th. Before I get into it completely, I just wanted to float the idea around there that we are heavily entertaining doing a live stream version of this. It would not replace this one right now, but we're thinking as early as possibly next week on Tuesday. Don't know how that'll go, but you don't know if you don't try. Without wasting any more time, I wanted to show off from Goodies Exotics this Pastel Yellow Belly Panther pie. It is a female that is darn near up to size. You could get this one for a bit cheaper and have a unique animal to breed right off the bat. Now you might be thinking, what is a panther? And I thought the exact same thing because I didn't know. And that's why I love doing these videos, just from a personal point, honestly, because I see some crazy things that, well, get me to look into things. But the panther here kind of reminds me of leopard. I guess that's the cat thing, right? Looks a little unique, I should say. Still has kind of the crazy pattern and the black, you know, like bringing in the bolds and whatnot. But I'd say they act a little differently in their combos for sure. It is an incomplete dominant, which means you could get a super. I'd say it has a lot more of this kind of granulation going throughout it. A lot of just different coloring as well. So you see like a darker pattern and then suddenly light. It's like it can't decide. It's almost like it's a paradox, I guess. So you see here, it's almost like a break in pattern. Suddenly it becomes dark, and then suddenly look, it's light, like the pastel's there. And honestly, I thought maybe it was a very subtle paradox at first, until I looked at the other panthers that were available. And, well, look, it's the same thing. That's pretty cool. That's kind of almost what I like about the Sumapide, only the Sumapide is even more extraordinary, just being very, very black and very, very dark brown with the whites coming in for contrast. So, but I thought that this was really cool, and there's plenty of other examples of that. I don't really see that way with a leopard pied. So you kind of see it here too. Look at that, dark there, light, dark. So very cool, very unique. Now there's a lot of uniqueness when it comes to pied in general, but nothing quite like that. And this is a very good price for a female that could, again, I've said it in the past, just get you something unique. Someone sees that and goes, wow, that's pretty cool. They see panther. They ask, what is panther? And then you have a conversation. It's kind of like a marketing strategy in a way, and it's not trying to be like shady or anything like that, but it is the fact. It's a marketing strategy. So very cool. If you're able to get to this in time, there's not much time when this one will go. Moving right along to this Stranger Yellow Belly, 100% Het Clown, female. Very dark animal and a very cool example of one as well. You can do some very good things with this. Hitting the actual Stranger Yellow Belly visual clown, when I first saw my first one, was from Spartan Pythons, ironically. And it was at one of the Schaumburg shows, I know, and it just blew me away how cool it was. Just something that's technically relatively simple. You got two incomplete dominants and a recessive in there, and what it does is just so awesome. It's awesome by itself, but the fact that you can have such a cool building block is even better. But yes, you have to create that example yourself here, but that example's a little bit more expensive. There's no bids on this right now. Relatively low amount of time available as well. So you can snatch this one up for a pretty good price and start making these visuals yourself pretty soon by just breeding a visual clown to it. And while you're at it, get some Spotnose in there, get some other stuff in there. That would be very cool. Had to include this one. Lately, I've been talking about Rainbow a lot. It's kind of in the same vein as the candies and the Toffies, which are the same gene, and the Lavender Albinos. It's very similar to those, only I think that Rainbow is the most extraordinary example of that. It is the most lavenderish of them all, and this one could possibly also be Het Hypo, and I've seen the Rainbow Hypos. Those are incredible. Another example of an animal that isn't worked a whole bunch and could definitely spark some conversation. The rainbows are not a cheap project to get into, so they're seeing a female that's het for it up here tells me people don't really know about it, so therefore they're just gonna sleep on it. This would be absolutely a big time win if you wanted to work that project and doing it for a low price. If you could somehow snatch this one for cheap, this would be a steal. You get yourself a rainbow male, whether it's visual or het, and kind of go from there. But make sure you send a shed test in for that Het Hypo to RGI, because that would be incredible if you could hit that and kind of get a quick little example of what some of them look like here. This one's obviously a much older example here, but I think that these are absolutely incredible. They hold a crazy amount of value. You can see they hold these oranges, these splotches in them. They hold their color into the adulthood a lot better than the others, I believe. Just an absolutely incredible animal. You could potentially start working for some of that stuff. Definitely something to think about if that is your calling. Looking at a chocolate pied here at a decent size too. It's about a third of the way to being ready to breed as well. And chocolate is an incredible gene. And chocolate actually just got added to new shed tests that you can test for, along with a whole bunch of others: Cypress, Fire, GHI, Chocolate, Wookie, Bongo, Champagne, Spider, Woma, Spotnose. So a lot of the spider complex genes there. So that is very, very cool. A lot of people might not know that, but some of these here are in the spider complex. And someone might be wondering, why would you ever need to test for spider? Well, I have a perfect example as to why you need to test for spider. I have a all-white snake that's a lesser butter hypo, and found out that she was also spider because I bred her to something. And thankfully, you know, I didn't make a poor decision breeding doing that. Just think about, you know, the potential missteps there. I could have bred something I didn't want to it to create like a spider spot nose. Not that that's anything wrong with that, but some people really want to avoid that. Or God forbid, I really wanted to work the spider project and I bred another spider to her. All those super spiders, whatever you want to call it, would be dead. That's a lethal combo. That's a perfect example as to why something like that should be tested. If you're going to breed a potentially lethal combo like Champagne or Spider to an animal that you don't know that covers other genes, I think ethically you should be testing for some of these genes. But in general though, the chocolate pieds are very cool. Free shipping here as well. But you could start doing some really cool projects with this and again, set yourself apart. I try to think of the things that I don't see that your average breeder work. To stand apart, you need to do something unique. Not that chocolate is a gene you don't see a lot of. You go to the big shows, you see them, but maybe if you work some of those local shows that are a little smaller, this is a good way to stand out and make some really cool animals while you do it. Moving right along to another female, this Enchi Pastel Yellow Belly Het Paint. And of course I'm including this because of the paint gene. Paint is awesome. I mean, look at what it does to the sides. That's like smeared paint, right? Just very unique. I mean, someone could have handed this to you and tell you it was some sort of stranger, right? But it's been around for a while, and for some reason it just hasn't been completely worked, even though it has just such incredible potential. I think that Southwest Wisconsin Reptiles does a great job of working it, but I feel like a lot of other people with ideas could come along and continue this. Pretty female heavy to start off here with another Wookie YB Het Clown. This is pretty cheap. It'll end today, the day you're watching this video, and you might look at this and just think, okay, cool, whatever. It just looks normal. But the fact that it has the Het Clown, the Wookie, the yellow belly, this tells me this is the sort of stuff that you can make awesome things with. Look at some of the yellow belly Wookie clowns when you hit the visual clown and tell me that it's not something outstanding. Wookie and yellow belly, I believe one of the key ingredients to what is the Kraken, which is this insanely awesome animal. So definitely make sure you're paying attention to what Wookie and yellow belly can do together. I mean, look at this one. It's just nuts. Just the kind of just crazy burnt contrast here. It's just like a reddish, like a super blood, like dried blood around there, just kind of morphing into orange, but it's very clean where it does do that. I think this will go for really cheap. It's from another very great breeder. This is a great chance to get into something for a little bit cheaper. If your budget's lower, you can still make some crazy cool things with this. Moving right along to this Orange Dream pied 66% Het Lavender girl. This is incredibly cheap. Another one that's going to end the day you're watching this. You have higher than likely odds to hit that Het Lavender, but to make sure that you are, you know, buying the right male to put her to, make sure you send in this shed test to RGI, and hopefully you get the odds in your favor and you are able to get a male that is representative of this, like a lavender het pied or just a double recessive, you know, dreamsicle right at the bat. I would recommend something with Enchi or Blackhead in there would be very, very cool to pair this to if you can hit that Het Lavender. But just something, again, just an incredible deal. I like just calling them out. There's not a whole bunch more to say. I mean, it speaks for itself. It's a great deal. It's a great way to get into a project with a female that could start kind of adding building blocks to a young collection that still wants to make cool snakes. That's the thing. Right now, what these auctions offer as an opportunity is the option to make cool snakes, but still be cheaper. Yeah, you're not making some of this nutty things, you know, like I show you in some of the examples of what you can do, but that's the starting step, and it's still absolutely awesome. So if you like that dreamsicle project, this could definitely be a great ad for you. Love acid clowns. I absolutely love the heads of these things. Acid and Confusion do this crazy thing where they actually have belly pattern, and that's so cool to me. And just look at the oranges, looking at the blacks, just the type of orange. Just looks like Miami Sunset. It looks like he's holding an actual like tangerine or something. Just incredible. Just so awesome. It could just really put some incredible uniqueness into your collection. There are a lot of breeders from Sterling Nelson, who's a well-known breeder, that he is moving on from, probably as he upgrades and needs room for his collection. There are going to be a bunch of them, and there's actually a bunch that I'm not even showing. So if you are in the market for a breeder, including females or males, there's a lot right now. So get on there and check. A lot of these are going today, so you need to act. But I wanted to start off with what I think is the most exceptional one, and that would be this Stranger Pastel Clown. That's possible het Red Stripe. And Red Stripe is a testable morph, so you could send that in to be certain. But this one just kind of screams shades of Pompeii to me, honestly. And anytime you can get Stranger and a Clown, that's the sort of stuff you kind of get because it's just an outstanding morph, especially with Clown. So I think that this is a very nice one. I'd actually like to see it without the pastel, personally, even though this one looks very good for being as big as it is. Right now it's at 360 bucks with 16 bids, so the interest is pretty decent, and the price will not be dirt cheap, but I think it's going to be very well worth it because this male can breed all of this through your collection, including very unique morphs. If you can hit on the red stripe too, just some real incredible opportunities to be had with this. And then speaking of that, we're just going to kind of quickly go through some of the other ones. This one is a Redhead Het Clown, not to be confused with Red Stripe. Redhead is incredible when it comes to what it can do in Clown especially, or in a lot of other morphs. It is subtle at first, but you can see here this is a pretty big male, and this is very well full grown, but look at it. This is actually one of the better examples I've ever seen because it does have that reddish, rusty hue to it. Some of them are very subtle, but when you get them into combinations, oh my, it's not subtle anymore. Very, very similar to Yellow Belly in that aspect, in my opinion. So yes, while this snake, a male being Het Clown, is not very ideal, I guarantee you that it might not be up here, or it would be very much more expensive if it was a visual Redhead Clown. Redhead is not a gene I think you should sleep on. It's another one that could set you apart and do great things for you. So you might sacrifice the visual Clown, but just put it to a visual Clown. They're not expensive, maybe with a few other genes in there to make some really cool things, maybe some black pastels or stuff like that, and hope that you get that visual Redhead Clown and kind of go from there. And speaking of it, here's another one, but this is a female, almost up to size as well. You can see the interest in those. It's much higher because it's in the female being het, so now you can breed your males to it. I would say this one's going to be very interesting what it ends at. 4 bids only right now at the same amount of time, but considerably higher. And I think that you are going to see this one go a little bit more, I think, but it'd be very well worth it. One of my favorite genes right here, a Blackhead Clown, a female at that, also very close to being up to size. A lace Yellow Belly Het Clown female. It is to size. I'm not sure if this was proven or not, but this is incredible. Lots of interest right now, but lower bid. I could be very well interested in something like this. Getting lace into your collection for a Clown at this price, and then having Yellow Belly along with it, that's incredible. Get lace again along with Yellow Belly is a very subtle gene, but having it in the female is very ideal if you're gonna have the het. It's just absolutely incredible. Here's another one. I think I like this one a little bit more, actually. There's a lot of things if you miss out on, you can go to another one. This one's not as big though, so if you want one that's more up to size, obviously you get this one, but this one's darn near there anyway. Another Clown Red Stripe Leopard female. This is an incredible one, actually. A lot of these are gonna end at the same time, so if you're just interested in something, a female, and a lot of it, if not all of it so far, I think what we've seen has to do with Clown. So if you're in the Clown, very few people aren't into Clown. If you are wanting to add something that's darn near up to size from a quality breeder, this could be a way to do it this week. I think we're down to our final 2 from him. Het Paint Het Clown. So if you want to work we talked about the paint earlier, showed it off. You want to work the double hets, this would be incredible. I'd say the best way to do this would be a visual Clown het paint male, if you want to go for the cheaper side anyways. But if you want to hit the paints a little bit more, then go to the paint het Clown. But you're going to be paying a little bit more, but you'll be hitting paints more often. And then finally, the pair for it right here. So you have a male and a female that are, again, darn near up to size. The male probably is. And this way you could just start doing that pairing yourself. Yes, het to het is not ideal, but for a gene like this, might be the best method for somebody. You want to do something real cool. All right, now that we have gotten through those, and there is a lot more, by the way, from him on there. So check it out. You're not going to have a lot of time. So if you're watching this right now, as it hit, go on Morphmarket while you're watching this video and take a look. see everything that's available, and see if anything calls to you. Speaking about Redhead, like we did earlier, here's a Redhead Orange Dream Het Clown. This one has Orange Dream along for it, but not the size, however. That would be very neat. I've seen some of the stuff that Ball Python Shed did with Redhead at the Schaumburg show this year, and it was some of the best ones there, easily. I believe it made at least as an honorable mention in our top 5. And you know, being again in a female, this would be great because you can breed your visual males to it and quickly add more genes. Very cool animal, and a great opportunity again to add a gene that is very well sought after and worked very well by some of the top breeders in the hobby. Before we get much further, I wanted to switch over to the Hognoses. Here's all of our Hognoses for this week's video. As always, there are not as many, but there are some quality examples here. Starting right off with this Axanthic Conda Possible Het Toffee. I really like the Axanthic, and this one has a very favorable price right now. If you want to work the Axanthic project, this would be incredible, especially if you end up hitting up on that, especially if it ends up proving out as Toffee. So maybe get yourself some females that are possible hets or for sure hets, and maybe eventually you can prove that out, or if they are visual Toffies, you can always guarantee that all of the babies will be het Toffee at least. So just a pretty favorable price. Love the artwork too. Next up would be this Yeti Conda. And this one does have a reserve price. Free shipping on this one as well. I don't know why it says 100 bucks, but then it says free shipping, so that must just be an error. But the Yeti is a combination of Albino and Axanthic, and Albino is one of my absolute favorites, but it creates this animal that's very white with very ghostly patterns on it and those bright red eyes. Sometimes they have almost a pinkish look to them, which is just absolutely incredible. One thing that I never have mentioned is how much I love the scale patterns on the Hognoses. They're not really overlapping. It just really looks like studded armor. It's just incredible. Next up would be, yes, you're reading that right, a Red Rocket. Before I knew any better, I would have told you that this was a joke, but I was told at the Schaumburg show by Snakeful Grace that that is indeed the nickname for it, and that would be the Sunburst Arctic Conda. And I'm not going to explain what a Red Rocket is. I'm just going to appreciate the beauty of the animal. It is a creamy orange. Honestly, appropriately reminds me of like a sherbet. Just absolutely incredible, but where the pattern does come out, and you can still see the pattern on there of the nice oranges. Just an incredible rich color here. Just a very creamy, beautiful color that just does not deviate at all from that, besides the pattern, obviously, which seems to be a little bit stronger when it starts off and fading, gone. Absolutely incredible animal. This one is called a Super Daddy, and I'm not 100% perfect with all the nicknames yet, so bear with me, but this is a Super Conda, Super Arctic, Albino, and it's also possible het Sable, which means it's possible het Sunburst, and that would also make it a possible, well, Red Rocket, right? Well, het Red Rocket if it were to hit on that Sable. Just really incredible. The eyes, I don't know why, the eyes are just blood red. Like, these are red. That is like Dracula red. I cannot get over that. And to finish all the hogs off would be this Arctic Super Conda 1-to-1 pair. And I say this a lot, but 1.1 means one male and one female. The first number stands for the males, the second number for the amount of females. So they are sold as a pair, and they are possible Extreme Red, which is a polygenic trait. Extreme Red really shows itself off, especially when you get the albinos and whatnot. I do really like the Arctics, but you could create Super Arctics with this. I want to see which ones they are sold as a pair. I believe, are they both the same exact? So no matter what, you're going to get Super Condas, but maybe you also get the Super Arctic out of this. That would be incredible. Very nice bright snake. Shipping is free as well, so very cool. Hogs are always awesome to look at. All right, back to the ball pythons here, and this I had to show off. I love Acid and Spotnose together. Spotnose and Yellow Belly together are also an incredible combo, but this Acid, Spotnose, Yellow Belly, Pastel, 100% Het Clown, and in a female, everything just seems to be going right. I always talk about how I want the hets in my female, and there's so many of them this time. There's so many of them. Take the opportunity this week, if you've been holding on to your money, to find something. This might be the week that really speaks to you. There is a lot to love here. I love what it does to the face. It's not even a clown, and yet it still affects the head. Just absolutely incredible. The acid just does such incredible work. If you can hit the visual clown with a breeding with this, you're going to be very happy and pleased with the results. Free shipping also from my wonderful breeder. We already showed off Ball Python Shed, but this is great quality here. Absolutely love everything I'm seeing about this. The fact that, again, like I said, it's a het in the female. The males are much cheaper, so splurge on that and make something to rock everyone's socks off. But this one here could potentially totally change the game for what you're doing. Moving along to this lavender het pied pair. They're both lavenders. They're both 100% het pied, male and a female. And if you want to make dreamsicles, this is a pretty good way to do it. Usually I prefer to have the opposite, so I would prefer to have a lavender het pied and a pied het lavender if I'm going to do that, because now I'm guaranteed to always hit double hets. I'm not messing with possible hets, but your chances are still very high. I mean, they're 100% with lavender. Every single baby will be lavender because you're lavender to lavender and they all pass one copy. You're at least making lavenders nonstop. And when you don't hit dreamsicles, everything will be 66% het pied. And if you wanted to keep any of them, obviously it would be a good opportunity to send in a shed test, because you're likely going to be happy with the result of a 100% het pied. But you won't know until you test, or if you wait for 3 years or 1 year, depending on which one you keep, male or female, until you breed. But now with testing, you might as well just do that and put all doubts aside. All right, the next 3 are going to be one of my absolute favorite morphs. Starting off with this female spider Monarch. A lot of people will look at this and say, I don't want spider in this. And quite frankly, I don't think spider works well with Monarch, because I like the color in here and it reduces that. That's not what I want. I want it to be more of it. It can be this thin, but I want more. Now, I like what it does to the head. That's cool. But it kind of brightens it up a little bit, and I like the darker Monarchs. And that's not even saying anything about the spider morph. Some people will see spider and say, well, I don't want to work that. And that's understandable if you don't want to. And if you do want to, great. I have no opinion one way or the other. I just love Monarch, and this Monarch is going to go for cheaper. It has no reserve because it's spider. A lot of people have bought into projects for much cheaper than they normally would have, just because the spider gene came along for the ride. And this is something that you could do incredible work with. Basically, you want the Monarch, and if you can get it for even a shade of this, that would be insane. Monarchs still go even on auction over $2,000 typically, and just normal sales within the 3,000-ish range. This is an incredible opportunity for somebody, being a female at that. But we're not done, because we have a couple more to show off, including this Monarch boy here. And this is just a normal Monarch. There is a reserve on this one here, but I think it'll be a little bit lower this time. And MSB Reptiles, actually, if you did not know, has the original Monarchs. They bought the entire collection from the person who founded the gene. So all of the originals pretty much are represented and come from here. So just another incredible deal. No idea what the reserve price would be, but this would be a great opportunity to get into Monarch. Another one from MSB Reptiles would be this Cypress Specter Het Monarch. If you wanted to save a bit of money and you did not want to go the visual route, you could go this route and also bring along some really cool genes for the ride. Cypress really catches my attention with Monarch. Honestly, I really like that because of what it does to the pattern and whatnot. But the other caveat here that I'm actually now just realizing is that this is a proven breeder, so you wouldn't have to wait. That's really, really good, and it looks like he's very good at breeding too. Always locks on first introduction. All right, well, if you need to get going and have a stud right off the bat, this could be it. And no reserve on this one, and no bids yet. It did just get up, so don't expect that to stay the case. But I think I'm interested, so I'm gonna put a placeholder bid on here. Just $25 for now. Now, I know and expect this to be beaten by probably some of you, but this tells me when people outbid me. It gives me a 1 hour warning, so I can take a look at it and see where it's at. So that's another strategy you could always use when you're bidding on these. Just throw a little bit of money on there just to have it as a placeholder bid. It won't remind you every single time that somebody bids, just when you're outbid and 1 hour before. Moving out of the Monarchs would be this Blackhead Mystic Het Clown male. Again, not ideal to have it in the Het Clown, but this is really inexpensive, and it has Blackhead and Mystic, and that's incredible because it creates this very dark snake but still has this light, is what Mystic does. Mystic is very similar to Mojave, but it is a different gene. If you wanted to get Blackhead into your clown projects, this would be a pretty cheap way to do it. Again, no bids on this right now, and about a day and a half from when this video comes out, at least, as to what will be left. So not for everybody, but if you are wanting to work that Blackhead project, it could be right for you. Here's a crazy looking one. I don't know if this will sell. I've seen a few of these go on auctions now. The Bang project. Bang Blackhead 66% Het Clown. And I'm telling you right now, if this were to prove out as 100% Het Clown, this would be incredibly well worth it. Now this does have a reserve price, and I'll tell you right now that these usually go for a good amount. So that reserve price is probably up there. But the Bang and the Blackhead work incredibly well together. Bang is a very orangey type gene, but look at what it is doing in just 2 genes right now. Now that is a Miami Sunset. This Bang probably is one of the best ones I've ever seen for just a 2 gene, just not a recessive in there. Just incredible, just coloration and saturation. Such good contrast, and I love contrast, as you all know, and this does it very well. I had to show it off. Maybe this will be for not very many people that are watching this, but maybe it will be, and that would be kind of cool. All you need is those blues and purples in there and it'd be perfect. Staying with the Blackhead though, one of my favorite genes would be this Banana Blackhead Cinnamon, lesser Het Clown, possible Yellow Belly as well. And you can test for Yellow Belly as well, so it might be worth it for you, especially if you're gonna put it to a Yellow Belly. Don't do that without testing, because then you're gonna get all white snakes and you're gonna be very disappointed. But this is incredible. Blackhead and Banana work very well together. Cinnamon is another darker gene, and lesser just keeps this creamy look to it. Being again in a female, we've had a lot of those, which is great. Look at this price, incredibly favorable. It's got a lot of time left to it. Definitely something that you should show some interest in. Banana Clowns, as we know, are all amazing. Blackhead, Cinnamon, lessers, all of these genes, and even the Yellow Belly, work so good with Clown. Do not sleep on this. Check it out. If you can get it at a price that makes sense to you, this would absolutely make some great hatchlings. You could really set yourself apart with this. Paradoxes are not super duper common on the auctions, but here we go right here, and this would be called Two-Face, a very popular name amongst paradoxes and chimeras. What we're looking at here is a Blackhead Calico lesser pastel pinstripe. It's 50% Het Hypo, so there's some decent power here, honestly. You'll definitely want to send it in for a shed test. Being in a female, if that hits, that would be great, but a lot of what we're looking at here is the uniqueness of the paradox. Paradoxes are not incredibly common, like I said. They're very rare, and they really don't have any for sure way of creating them, although there are certain lines that I feel produce them more often. Just something that's really cool, but it happens to have an okay amount of power if you're into the Hypo project. That's something to think about. And if you're just looking for a pet, again, something incredibly unique that could just be an incredible talking point. Almost looks like it's got like a toupee on just half its head. This next one here could be a great asset to somebody, and it's a great opportunity. And this would be an Enchi Sunset. I wish there was a few more pictures, and in the picture apparently it's in shed, but Sunset is obviously an incredible gene, but this is a full-grown adult. Doesn't look like it is proven yet, but he's literally to size. If you want to work the Sunset project, this bidding is really low right now. I do not know what it'll go for and what it'll stay at, but there's a lot of opportunities to work this. Now, sunsets do get darker as they age, but you can see right here, this is, I mean, he's full grown, so this is about what they get. The Enchi is definitely having an effect here as well, but you can also work this into other projects and create lots of double hats. There's still a lot to do with the Sunset project, and if that is your calling, this could be a great way to start it, because this male, anything you breed him to, will be 100% Het Sunset. So if you're interested, keep an eye on this one. Again, back with the red genes, and that would be this Banana Red Gene Puzzle. So puzzle as well in this. One thing to consider, banana is something that attaches itself to the sex chromosome, so this male will very likely produce almost all males when he hits the banana gene, and everything else will actually probably be female, and that's not all the time, but very, very likely all the time. The other thing to consider here is that this is a proven breeder. You don't gotta wait at all. You're ready to go. Looks like it's a good breeder at that. This is one of the babies that it helped create, a Banana Red Gene Double Het Puzzle Pie. So very cool, a lot of power in that baby right there. And it looks like that is at 500 grams right now, and it still looks like that. Very, very nice. Again, keep an eye on this price if you're into the puzzle project or want to be in the puzzle project. This could be a powerhouse male for you. And we're gonna end it off with 2 snakes from Chimera, this Lavender Albino 50% Het Axanthic, the TSK line, which stands for the Snake Keeper. Very clever, right? You can test for the TSK line of Axanthic, so I definitely would send that in. Just look at the colors on it though. That's an incredible example of one. Just really very nice how these lavenders really end up looking. The bright, beautiful oranges, and these whites will just get more lavender each time, and it just starts to glow. Just absolutely incredible. There can be variety in a lot of these albino types, but this is very high quality. And then this black pastel butter fire clown. I love lesser and butter, honestly, in clowns. I had one for a while, and if you've watched our story, it was a very, very sad day. She passed away giving birth to her first clutch. It wasn't even really egg bound. She actually ruptured her uterus. It was pretty terrible. So anytime I see a lesser clown, not good feelings there, but it is beautiful. And this is one of the more beautiful ones. But the Chimera has a lot of these quality animals that come up here, and some of them, since they produce so many quality animals and they're on auctions almost every single week, some of them go for a very good price. So this could be a great breeder for you. Lesser clowns, or in butter, by the way, lesser and butter are the same thing, so consider that. But we call them by the gene that they were given to us because it's out of respect for the person who originally worked it and founded it. But very cool animal, very beautiful, and could potentially make some great animals for you, especially with that black pastel in there. Lots of potential there. And that is going to do it for this week's auctions. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, if you got any of these or have gotten any in the past, please let us know in the comments. We love to hear it, especially if you saw it on our video here. If you liked this video, we talked about Monarch and came out, you can actually check out our video kind of highlighting that morph right here.